So, hi everyone, thanks for tuning in again to Not One Videos. Welcome back. I'm super excited today because I get to do an interview with my friend Richard Tilbury, who works with glass, and I've been fascinated about his work for quite a period of time since I met him in a gallery. First of all, welcome Richard, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me. So, we met last year in a gallery and got chatting while I was looking at your work. And you very kindly invited me into your home and your workshop to take a look at what you do. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to chat about your work, chat about your process, and maybe a little bit about you as well. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
I guess we should probably start by talking about that exhibition and how that exhibition came about.
Well, as you know, I'm friends with your neighbour,
Yeah.
Becca. Uh, Becca and another neighbour, Annie, and I have known one another for about 20 years now, almost. And we all do something slightly arty. Annie paints, Becca does prints and sometimes sculptures, and we always sort of like sort of hit it off in sort of artistic terms, I guess, because there's a synergy between all our work, although we do completely different medium. It sort of all hangs together when we show together. So we occasionally decide to do a show somewhere, an exhibition, and we always have a blast when we do it, and we get to sell our work, which is important. Otherwise, the house gets too cluttered.
Yeah.
And yeah, we work well together. So it's always fun. It's a bit of a laugh, and we get friends around for drinks and things in the gallery, and yeah, we have a good time.
It was lovely. I really enjoyed that evening altogether. And like you say, the work did hold together really nicely. What I'm kind of curious about is, I mean, I've been to Murano Island, so I've seen glass blowing before, and what I was excited about was finding out how this process came about. So how would you describe this process? What would the name be of what you do, if there was a name for it or a title for it?
We tend to call it fusing and slumping, and the other term is warm glass. Hot glass being what you saw at Murano, which was where you see it like a furnace. They call the glory hole, where they stick the molten glass or the melt glass and then pull it out and blow shapes. I'm not allowed to do that in the house. It's too dangerous. I get told off. So I do warm glass, which is more controlled. You use a kiln, so it's a bit like ceramics, and you basically fire the glass to melt it into the patterns, and then you slump it into a mould to get the form. So everything's made flat and then shaped afterwards once you've finished.
Yeah.
Slightly different process.
So the process that you've allowed me to come and film in your workshop has resulted in this piece. So you'll see that in some of the film that I've shot. So if I'm gonna hand this over to you actually, and maybe you can just like tell us a little bit about the process that went into this one. So you've talked about fusing and slumping. So that's happened in this piece entirely. I mean, that's how you could describe it.
Yeah, well, this started off in a number of pieces. I mean, as you can see, the little stripes, and these are made with things called stringers, which look like glass spaghetti. And the process started with a plain piece of square glass, and onto that I arranged the stringers into a rough pattern, and until I was happy with sort of like the composition. I look for rhythm, so I quite like like a rhythm in the colours, which you can see here, sort of stripes and bands. The stringers are held down with gum arabic, and then fired at quite a low temperature, about 700 and something degrees
Which
C.
is quite high temperature, but low for glass.
For processes, for the various processes, because clay goes up to about 1300 degrees C.
Yeah.
So you know, so in terms of doing things, this is quite cool.
Yeah. Well, it is quite cool.
The yeah, at 700 and something degrees C, the glass fuses together, tack fuses, so it sort of it becomes glued to the base piece of glass. And when that's cooled down, room temperature, we then cut it up and chop it into stripes, which we then rearranged, as you will see in the video.
Does this part ever go really badly wrong?
Yeah. Cracks go all over the place. The trouble is that this side that wants to go that way. So you've got to get the cracking right.
So I guess over time you've kind of managed to make that less frequent disaster.
Yeah, you get a feel for it. See, that's broken. But it doesn't matter, because it'll rebind
in the kiln.
Yeah,
you can just put it back together.
Then another piece of glass is put on top, and we do a full fuse, which is done at about 800 degrees C, and that bonds the whole lot together in one piece of glass, and that comes out flat. And then
it's quite similar to. I'm kind of noticing the similarity to this other piece, but it's maybe different size stringers or different kind of stringers.
Yeah, these are slightly fatter stringers, and there's some dichroic glass in there as well. The dichroic is like you'll see it like
kind of hold that one up.
Yeah, slightly iridescent, and
it's almost like glittery.
Yeah, and the dichroic glass is actually a hologram.
Oh right, okay.
Or like a hologram, it refracts the light, and so you get quite interesting, sort of subtle. There's a bit of bling, I guess, in glass
for
terms.
sure.
But that was made in the same method, using the same methods as this, except I cut squares and rearranged the squares rather than stripes.
Long strips.
Yeah.
Okay. So you cut squares? How do you cut squares with the glass? Because I mean, with the long strips, I can remember in the process you were using a cutter to cut these long strips. I just can't see how you would. So you maybe cut bigger strips and then cut in half.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, cut chunks.
Bigger chunks.
And then cut smaller chunks, and then rearrange them all.
I think I might have cut you off a little bit whenever you were about to say something about this one. Well, perhaps not.
Well, for all these shapes, the last part is once you've fully fused the plate, is you then slump it, and that's done at a slightly lower temperature, around 600 degrees, and slowly the glass melts like cheese into the shape that you want it. So we have a mould in the kiln, balance the glass on the mould, and then hope that the glass forms the shape you want when it's as it cools.
So you say, and hope. So that does that basically sounds like you've had a few disasters along the way.
Yeah, you do have disasters from time to time. Sometimes things happen and the glass fractures.
Yeah.
You might get colours come out differently to what you're expecting, because some colours strike, which means they change colour.
Okay, right,
in the kiln. Some colours react, so you put two colours together, depending on the chemicals that make those different glasses, they'll actually go a different colour.
Okay.
as they react. Silver, if you've got silver in a glass, it goes sort of a lovely yellow colour.
Okay.
Copper goes blue-green, so you get sort of strange effects. And some glass types don't like one another; they go this muddy, horrible brown. So you have to know your chemistry a little bit when you're mixing them
you've
up.
learned that over many years of doing it, so you know what
Yeah.
combinations not to put together.
Yeah, and the
for what you dislike.
manufacturers of the glass actually tell you.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This has got this
See, I'd
chemical
be the kind of person who doesn't read the instructions.
You get muddy effects and strange effects if you don't read the thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But all the glass works nicely. It's compatible with one another. You know, all the colours are compatible to an extent, but you do need to know what you're doing. Heat work as well. If you put too much heat, you'll get a different colour. Or the glass might go opaque.
Yeah.
Some glass types actually move slower or faster than others, so you might get the glass might change shape. So there's all sorts of little things, little tricks that you learn over time.
So we've got a bit of a selection here. So we've just spoken about the process that I've filmed over the last couple of days with the stringers and the fusing and the slumping. I'm guessing this one is a similar process to that, this green plate?
Yeah, this is done more, it's more like a mosaic, and what I did was cut shapes and then arrange them and fuse those shapes together. The black lines are done using powdered glass, sort of almost like grout filling in the gaps, and then that's fired, and it all fuses together.
It's a lovely piece.
It was the design is based on a butterfly wing.
So just before we set up for filming, Richard brought this plate out, and I think your wife said, "You better not be selling that."
Yes, it's one of her favourites.
She likes that one. So I managed to get a bit of footage of something that looks like this yesterday with the leaves. I've got an earlier stage of the process of this one. So with the leaves, like this has been sandwiched again and slumped. But how did you actually get the leaves part together with?
Well, I think it's a bit of a cheat because I took leaves from the garden and took placed them on clay, wet clay, and rolled them into the clay. And then when it was slightly drier, I pulled the leaves out, so you get an
impression.
Yeah, so I'm interested in like making fossils.
Yeah.
And then
hence the fish as well. It's quite fossily.
The fish is based on a fossil fish. So with the leaves, once the imprint was made in the clay and it was all dry, I brushed different coloured clays, different coloured glass powders. Which you have to be careful with. You have to wear a respirator and gloves and things because it gets
very
everywhere.
Fine dust.
Yeah, very fine dust. It's like talcum powder, and it's dusted in and then arranged on the glass as dust in sort of almost like it looks like icing sugar when you're casting it on, but it's all white. It looks white or
until you fire it and then the colours come out.
And the colours come out, yeah.
Wow.
So you don't quite see what it's going to look like.
So you have to trust what it says on the packet.
Sort of, yeah. But because it's layered and opaque, you can't see what you're doing.
Okay.
So it's all a bit
an experiment.
Seat of your pants type thing.
Yeah.
So once that was fired, this is made with about 2 or 3 layers, and then there's. It was fired onto a layer of plain glass, and then another layer of plain glass on top. So it's a sandwich, because what I wanted to do was the effect of it looking as if it had been frozen. So this is an experiment. So there's going to be more playing to see what happens.
Very good. So you briefly touched on the fish one being like a fossil, and that kind of leads me to looking at this bigger one, which I love, by the way. It looks like one of those scary fish with a light above its head, or an anglerfish or something like that.
Yeah. I was. It was a bit random. The fish just came out. I don't know where from. but it comes from the concept came from a song. It's a Sephardic Jewish song called Ishamia, and it's in Ladino, which is a dialect of Spanish.
Okay.
And it's a parent singing about or talking about their daughter and not wanting her to fall into love, in love with the wrong person. And the singer says that they would dive into the sea 7 fathoms deep and be eaten by a blackfish to save their daughter.
Right,
So that was the extent that they would go to stop the daughter from making a mistake. And I quite like the idea, you know, it's quite romantic.
So that was part of a specific exhibition?
Yeah, the exhibition, we had to, I think the subject was the self or something like that. So that's what I took, you know, sort of took this thread from the song. And so the hands, I guess, are sort of like the person swimming, you know, so like representing.
So the fish, I'm guessing, was a very similar process to the leaf and this fish.
Yeah, the powders are used, so you dust, it's layers of different colours, and then I use a method called sgraffito, where you cut the powder with a stylus, so it could be a stick or anything, you know, sort of like. And
so that's drawing the pattern in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all powders, and then you just draw on through the powders. You cut through the powders, and when it fires, it pulls back the powders, and you end up with you see reveals the layers underneath. So you see in that one it's red and black. So it gets an interesting effect.
Amazing. So I'm not sure. I mean, because we did a brief try at this interview before, and then we had all sorts of background noise and it went wrong, so I can't remember if I've asked you this already in this part of the interview, but about how you actually got into glass work in itself. Did we talk about that yet?
No, not yet.
Not in this part. Yes.
No.
Okay, so how did you manage to how did glass take your fancy?
I did pottery at school, and this sounds unlikely mix, but I did pottery at school and really enjoyed it. However, jobs as potters, just, you know, it doesn't really cut it, you know, sort of as a career.
No, you're not going to make much money.
Not going to make much money. It's something that you have to love.
It's a passion, isn't it?
It's a passion, and I ended up in IT. So
slightly different.
Slightly different route, but there are similarities with all these sort of things. Because you're making things, so you're making software rather than making pots or making glass. So yeah, I sort of ended up doing pottery, doing IT, and years later got married, moved here. And we were sort of thinking, you know, vegging in front of the TV, really should be doing something a little bit more creative. So we wanted something that both my wife and I could do together. So we thought, do enameling, is like jewellery and stuff like that, you know, sort of like it was a sort of making things and stuff. So I bought an enameling kiln, which is tiny. Very shortly after, I discovered you could melt glass in it, which was really fun. Ding. Yeah, really fun stuff, you know, and that was more fun than the enameling. And I was making things called cabochons, which are like little lozenges of glass that you then put on a brooch or something. And I was just looking online, and I saw an offer for a kiln, which for proper fusing and slumping kiln, and it accidentally got bought and delivered.
Yeah, by accident. Yeah.
Yeah, by accident it got ordered, and the postman delivered it a few days later. I set it up and started making plates and bowls and things. So it's been an interesting learning.
Yeah. So earlier you mentioned about sometimes you have disasters and it all turns out in different ways and stuff. So say you have something that like shatters or whatnot, do you get to use that glass again as something else, or is it kind of, because the process has happened, you can't use the
You,
glass
you
maybe as well?
can recover things. I mean, usually you cut it up and use it in something else.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I used to make Christmas decorations
Yeah.
out of pieces, you know, sort of like, and yeah, you just sort of like have to recycle as much as you can. Sometimes it's not possible, but I tend to keep the mistakes. A lot of my mistakes as memories, you know, so like how
You
not
become
to do it.
attached to them.
Well, no, it just sort of like it reminds you of like not to do that again, or
Okay,
or
right,
to or to you know sort of like that process didn't quite pan out the way you thought. But sometimes those mistakes lead you on to successes. So you know, sort of it's a stepping stone in the process.
Very good. So, what are you have when you're working? Have you got like a plan ahead of like, oh, I want to make this piece next, or I want to make that piece next, or is it that you kind of start the process and go, I don't know where this is going, and I'm just going to do what I feel?
It's a bit of a mix. I, I do have an idea in my head as to where it's going to go, but sometimes the techniques don't let me get there. So you sort of like taking diversions, and those diversions then take you somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's quite hard to actually, because I'm a hobbyist and I'm doing this for fun. I don't have, I guess, that goal mentality of like making something, you know,
Necessarily perfect.
It doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm making it because it amuses me and it's fun. You know, a lot of the cases, but I am interested in sort of colours and shapes. You know, that I repeat things. You know, the amber colour, the blues come out quite a lot. I've enjoyed doing the gold work on that, which is gold leaf.
Oh yeah, on this big main one.
Yeah, and then there might be some more coming that looks, you know, take that idea and expand on it.
Very good. There's possibly an exhibition coming up, you were saying, depending on what's happening in the world at the minute.
Well, with the COVID-19, you know, a lot of the exhibitions are shut because it's difficult to to distance people in that sort of setting. Also, the art community, they tend to have private view parties, as like
which are kind of frowned upon at the minute, I suppose.
which is like loads of people squidged into a gallery is probably not what you want to be doing at the moment. So you know, the whole art community is probably doing
Suffering
very badly at the moment, because the way that art is sold in the UK isn't possible at the moment.
So on that front, if someone is interested in your work and someone sees this video, they're interested in your work, like where can they find you?
Yeah, Instagram is probably a good place.
Yeah.
I'll
I'll include a link in the video so that people can find that very easily. So.
Yeah, we are talking about putting together a site.
I think that might be a very good idea.
Yeah.
If you need any help with that, let me know.
Yeah,
I can
definitely
give you some imagery and videos for your work or whatever.
No, that'd be great. Yeah.
So I think we're probably going to start wrapping it up there. Thank you so much for letting me get a little bit of a glimpse into your glass world, and which I found fascinating. As soon as I walked into your exhibition and I wanted to know how it was done. So I really, really appreciate that. If anyone wants to check out Richard's work, you can probably find him on Instagram. Would be the best place to do it. I'll include a link in the description below. Please go and check him out. And I think myself and his wife and some of his friends are encouraging him to get a website going as well. So that'll hopefully become.
I'll give you a link for that too.
Oh right, so you will have one maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a website coming soon. You heard it here first. So thank you so much, Richard, for helping me out. And well, I mean, I really like your work. And also, off camera, Richard told me that this plate that we've made over the last 3 days is actually coming home with me. So my wife is going to be super excited about this. I get to keep this plate, which I absolutely love. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. And hopefully I wasn't too nervous and bumbling through that interview. So come back next time. We're going to chat to some other of my friends who are doing artistic things also. Thanks for tuning in. And here I am back at home with my awesome original Richard Tilbury plate. Extremely grateful to receive this from Richard. I just wanted to make a little tag-on video to say a few things that I forgot to mention. One is that Richard's definitely got an exhibition coming up on October, so I'll definitely keep you posted about that. I will hopefully be going to that and doing some more filming for that. Also, just to say that I got loads of footage over the course of the 3 days. The process took 3 days of making this plate, and I got a lot of footage. So I'm also going to be making some more videos just about Richard and his work. More in the workshop, just seeing the actual process itself. So less about interviews and stuff like that, but more just focused on the work itself. Also, just to say that I'm interested in making more videos about creative people and creative projects and doing things like this and posting them on my channel, helping people give a little bit of exposure to their work, that sort of thing. It's also, I just find it fascinating making films about interesting things. So if you do know anybody who might be interested or who's doing something kind of creative, point me in their direction so I can have a look and see what I might be interested in following up on. Also, thanks so much for following the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It's going to help me out in the long run. Every little subscription I get is like a little boost of dopamine, I suppose, and also it motivates me just to make more work. And I do intend to grow the channel, so thank you so much for coming back. Push the bell, all of the usual stuff. And yeah, please check the descriptions below so that you can contact Richard if you like his work. You can keep up to date with everything he's doing. So thanks a million. Bye.